So, hi everyone, I'm Sierra Ovadia. I'm a therapist at the SBH Counseling Center. Tonight we'll be discussing mental health awareness. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, nearly 60 million Americans are struggling with a mental health illness. Many go unreported due to lack of resources and fear of judgment from others. Fortunately, help is becoming more and more accessible, utilized, and talked about. This is helping to reduce the stigma. So tonight I have the privilege of bringing Joyce Tawil, SBH's own peer support specialist and speaker on. She'll be sharing her own transformative and inspiring mental health journey with us. I'm going to invite her on now. Hi Joyce.
Hi, Sierra. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you for that introduction. You're making me feel so special. Thank you.
You are so special.
Thank you.
Now, I'm very not technologically savvy, so I think that was the most stressful part, getting you.
Made it. I'm happy to support you. You made
And
it.
you actually coached me.
Teamwork. Teamwork. But I just wanted to share and say thank you for actually talking about the amount of millions of people that go through having a mental health condition, and it's not talked about enough. And thanks for saying that number, because I feel even more or less alone now in somebody that does have a mental health condition. So thank you.
Right, and that's a big part of it, the loneliness.
Yeah.
Look at the numbers, they're huge.
They're huge.
We share clients, you and I, and we know that lonely feeling when people are struggling. So,
Oh, yeah. And so I just want to thank you and SBH for having me on and to share my story. And, you know, we got like 1 hour, so let's rock and roll and let's talk about it.
let's roll.
So I want to share, hi, my name is Joyce Towell, for those of you who don't know me. And I am somebody, I'm a mom and I'm a daughter, a friend and a wife. And from the young age of 7, well, first I want to say I was definitely predisposed to genetically to possibly having a mental health condition. Um, and I want to share that at the age of 7, I was always struggling academically. And thank God I really had a very special mom who noticed that. And so I was diagnosed at the age of 7 with ADHD and auditory processing disorder, which are types of learning differences or learning disabilities. And when you have that kind of diagnosis at a young age, you feel like there's something wrong with you, and it gives you a sense of anxiety. And I was then removed from the community schools, and God bless my mom, it was the right decision. She placed me in a special education environment that gave me the skills and the confidence that I needed. So moving forward, I ended up auditioning and being accepted into a performing arts high school. I sing. And so now different is what you want it to be. And quirky and any artistic, like I was on two ends of the spectrum of being different in like in a shameful way, and now different in high school as like, how cool are you? So I got to get a taste of both. And as I started to develop myself and my confidence, I really always stuck with singing because it was the safest place for me to be. I was good at it. Like, why try anything else if you're good at it, right? And as somebody who has anxiety, like the thought of like change is too overwhelming. So I'm gonna stick with this music thing. I ended up also getting a job at the same time, and I'm just now going to move on to talk about the 3 events, I guess, that kind of triggered um, my mental health condition. The fear of the gnawing that I had on me of always wanting to try something outside music was becoming more and more apparent, and I didn't know how to like keep it down. But I did decide early on that I was going to leave this job that I really liked to just jump out there and just go into the unknown. And so I left my job. And a few months later, I decided, okay, so in figuring out who I am, I'm also going to go back to school to figure that out. And I hate school. I hate school. It gives me anxiety. And so I went to school and like went from like figuring out who I am, but also that anxiety was like another huge life transition and change going to school. Very scary. And then the third and final thing, which was a couple months later, I decided I was going to end a very turmoil relationship I was in. It was also unpredictable, and I felt like I deserved predictability in a little sense of my world. And so I made the choice, and it benefited me to exit a relationship, but I was heartbroken. I thought I was going to marry this person. I thought we were perfect together. Later on, I realized we weren't. And like just that kind of loss and grief, I never dealt with that. I never dealt with any of these three things in my life that really just were major life changes. And I'm somebody that for years I've gone to therapy on and off, and I'm a huge fan of therapy. But at that time when people were saying, now's the time you go to therapy. Nah, I'm in school. I'm in school. No, I'm figuring out me. You'll go. It's not that bad, guys. It's just everybody goes through breakups. I couldn't. I just didn't.
So when you're in it, sometimes you don't realize how hard it is
Yeah.
until when.
Until the thoughts become that overwhelming. And so I like to use imagery. So if you don't mind,
Sure.
after those three events, let's think of like tumbleweed now, right? Like it's that thick hay. It like slowly starts to formulate, and like you start to think slowly, okay, maybe I was a fool to leave that relationship. Nobody's calling me right now. My phone's not ringing off the hook. Okay, there's a tumbleweed. Okay, so I left and I'm flunking out of college because I'm not doing well and I can't concentrate. And all I could do is think about like how I'm failing and how could I go back to school? Now the tumbleweed is getting a little bigger, but it's rolling a little quicker. Okay. Now I also left this job that I liked. What were you thinking? Go back to music, go back to that job, stay with what you know. And now this tumbleweed is now becoming a bit of a hurricane. And at that point, my mom started to notice like that, Joyce, this is not you. So I decided I was going to take the vitamins and go the holistic approach to help me feel better. It didn't work. What happened was after some time, well, I'll just go on to the next story actually, to that showed my mom something's up and we need help ASAP.
That's what I wanted to ask you. What did it look like? What did you feel like, and what did it look like to your loved
Okay,
ones?
so again, I'm gonna paint the scene one day in June in my kitchen while I didn't I wasn't married at that point. I decided to make broccoli. I love broccoli, and your girl here loves a roasted, crunchy broccoli. And so I made broccoli that me too. It's the best, I know. And so it's the best. I put it in the oven, and that day I took it out, and it was a little bit more crispier than Joyce would like. Um, but that day Joyce wasn't in the room, and I took out that broccoli, and the first thing I did was I bawled my eyes out. I cried hysterically, and my mom's trying to think like, what's going on? Like, is it what? I'm like, I burnt this broccoli, and it's not perfect, and I'm the worst cook ever, and who's gonna want to marry me? And I failed in the kitchen. I can't even get the spices right, and I'm a failure in school, and I have all these learning disabilities, and I'm never gonna be anything, and I can't even figure out anything past singing. And my mom started to see this like now tumbleweed, which turned to hurricane, into a tornado, into a full-blown tornado. And right then and there, she said, Joyce, you're not okay. She's like, you're showing like signs of depression. And I got very angry. And she said to me, there's Joyce, my daughter, and then there's the depression. They are not the same thing. And we need to get help. And I really, at that time when she said that, I really was like resenting her, not gonna lie. I felt like, how dare you? My mother, you're supposed to love me. All my life, you made these beautiful decisions for me, and you're telling me I need help? You're telling me I'm crazy? I think you're crazy. And nobody was crazy. I was just depressed.
And it was coming from a place of love, but you couldn't hear it.
I couldn't hear it. But I will say that she's a persistent person, just like I am. And I think her love was that strong enough. And I love my mom. And so her love to me means everything. And so I think even though that day Joyce wasn't there, but it was the depression. There was a little spark of Joyce that said, I have to listen to my mom. And so we went to the psychiatrist's office. I'm miserable as can be. I'm looking at my mother in the car, you lady. But we get to the psychiatrist's office and I give consent to allow my mom to talk to him. And then he comes back and he talks to me and he says, Joyce, I hear you like to sing. Brings a lot of happiness, your mom said. No, I never like to sing, really. I'm not that good at it. Really? Because like I mean, I've heard your accomplishments and the things you've done. They're not really accomplishments. It's not really like what did I do with it? Okay, your mom says you like to connect and you value your relationships and friendships. Yeah, they're okay. Okay, so have you ever reached out to your friends now? No. Why? I don't want to. I don't have to. Okay. How's your sleep, Joyce? And so that's when I started to like talk more about my sleep. And I said, well, I'm having a really hard time at night. How so, Joyce? I'm finding the only way I could get to sleep is if I literally clench my hands at night and pray to God to help me to sleep because my thoughts are so overwhelming and I can't I can't breathe and I can't sleep. And then when I sleep, I get jolted out of bed because my thoughts are way stronger than and he just started to see that tornado. And he said, Joyce, I'm diagnosing you with depression and anxiety and I'm going to give you medication, antidepressant, and which is also an anti-anxiety medication, and I'm going to give you medication to help you to sleep. And I remember thinking, like, am I in the Hunger Games? Like, is this a dystopian world where everybody's like, I'm Ashton Kutcher's here. Am I being punked? Like, what are you guys telling me? There's nothing wrong with me. And I remember saying to him, good luck, because you can't fix me. And that's the depression. That's not, Joyce would never say that.
I wanted to ask you for those that are watching that might not know the difference between depression and anxiety. What did they feel like to you? What did the anxiety feel like?
Anxiety felt like an overwhelming sense, a choking sensation. Can't breathe. The thoughts alone were so strong that it stopped me from concentrating, focusing. I would try to just finish a task, but I couldn't because my thought would be back in that ruminating cycle of all these shameful, terrible things I felt about myself, which is also, I think, part of depression. I was scared to literally go out of my house. I stopped like doing the things that like made me feel good and made me feel like I could breathe in this world. I felt like I had bricks on my back. Depression wise, I do want to say that I had I had to sleep all the time. And I just again imagery, if you think of like a boxer with those like boxing bags, like somebody just pounding away on my brain. And so you're tired after that. You're tired when somebody's pounding away. Those thoughts pound and pound on your brain. And I slept all the time. It took me one day 3 hours to get out of bed, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, just to get out of bed. It took me then 40 minutes to brush my teeth. It took me, there were times where I didn't even shower. I never told anybody this, so sorry, Ma. I didn't shower because the getting the soap out of my hair felt like I had shackles and chains on my feet and my arms and too hard to just wash myself. And the hardest part was all these thoughts were so overwhelming that I started to say, I don't want to live anymore. These thoughts are so terrible, and it feels every day like Groundhog Day. Nothing's changing every day by day. And I started to feel like, what would the world be like if I wasn't here anymore? I want to die because I can't face tomorrow. These were like fleeting thoughts that I had. And again, I always had that like speck of Joyce, whether it be like my spiritual connection, which at the time was cut off, or even like the connection from my mom and loved ones, which felt cut off. I think I was so worried, like, but I don't want to disappoint anybody. And like, I'm a failure. So like, I, I'm not going to think about that thought anymore. And that was really, really, to me, major clinical depression. Like,
And it lives on a spectrum, and that's a very severe form that you experienced. And
yeah.
depression can be lighter.
Sorry, say that.
Depression can feel lighter for some people. It lives on a
Yeah. And so,
Here for others. So some people might be feeling elements or a lower degree or a higher degree of what you felt.
yeah. And I also like, I was just cut off from anything that made me happy. I was angry. Like, why can't I connect to my music? It means I'm numb. Why, like, why, if my friend writes to me, why do I feel like I have to hide? I was so embarrassed. I couldn't even answer them. And one day, even one of my friends, like she told me, she went through like the stages of grief, like because I wouldn't answer her call. When she showed up, I looked different. I was 30 pounds lighter. My hair flew off my head. Like I was had sweating. Like she didn't even recognize me, and she didn't know what happened because I wasn't talking bad at all. So, and in a sense, like we have such beautiful things in this community, and also we have pressures. And so I just at the moment felt like can't face this community, let alone my friends. And so that was hard. And like the doctor said, you might get a little bit worse before it gets better because medication takes sometimes time to click, and finding the right medication, it's personal. You have to find the right fit for you. And thank God I didn't notice when I was getting better. Just like I didn't notice I was slowly falling into oppression, I wasn't able to recognize when I was getting a little bit better. So I want to just like talk about the good part now, which was one day I just out of nowhere started eating a donut. And my family's like, okay, she's eating a donut. Okay, good, she's eating something. She's eating. One day I remember like responding to a friend's text message. I had a friend who always sent me positive quotes. She didn't know what was going on with me, but I responded that day, and like that was a good sign. I had moments of like I didn't know, but moments of like okay, positive for just a second, and then the next day was maybe a minute, and then the next day was an hour, but then the next day I went backwards, and then the next day it was 2 hours. It was really a zig and zag. Um, and one day, my best friend, my bestie, called me. I accepted her offer. She knows you're going to get me. I'm a musical theater girl, and I love opera. Les Miserables was playing in in the movies, Anne Hathaway. And before I got depressed, I've been wanting to see it. So she gets me and she tells me, all right, let's go. And I say, okay. And like my sister and my mom are like, but like, like they're not going to make a big deal out of it. They don't tell me this, but like they're literally like, if you would think like I fit like I got like an Academy Award. But I went to the movies, and as I'm sitting in the movie, I started thinking like, wow, this Anne Hathaway chick, good for her. She's doing a great job. And I'm starting to like hum and I'm starting to like notice like, wait, I love that song. Like I sang that song. I dreamed a dream and on my own, and like those my favorite songs to sing, and like I'm singing it with them, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. What why am I doing that? And then I look over and I'm like, oh, there's my friend. But what I'm in the movie theaters with her. Like, what's going on? Like I didn't want to see her for like 7 months. I'm here. What does this mean? And like while like Anne Hathaway is having like her picture movie moment, I start to like kind of breathe, but like very strongly and rapidly. And oh, that feels really good. Why does that breath feel really good? This breath feels familiar to me. This breath tastes so delicious to me. Why does this breath taste so delicious to me? I'm having like, again, like this is my movie moment. I'm building it up. I'm building it up. Oh my gosh, that is my breath. That is Joyce Mizrahi at the time. That's my breath. That's not the depression's breath. That's not the anxiety's breath. Oh my gosh, I was in a depression. And I'm okay. And I texted my mom and I said, Mom, I'm going to be okay. And I think I was depressed. And not that she didn't know, she knew. But I'm letting her know, hey, if you didn't realize I'm depressed.
So how long,
Um,
Joyce, from the broccoli moment to the movie moment?
yeah. Sorry, I
How
didn't.
how long did that take?
Um, Probably 8 months for me. 8 months. And again, it was trial and error also with like medication. And you know what? I learned a lot about myself in those 8 months, and I really, I really cared about myself and didn't even know. I showed up to my appointments, and although I wasn't able to accept therapy at the time, I took my medication. I made sure, like, okay, I remember one time when my friend did text me, I texted her back. Like I was playing a part in my wanting to get help. Um, and so the second I got better, my I was starting to date again, and somebody said to me, okay, when you go out in the dating world, just don't tell anybody that you have depression, because like you want to get married and you don't want people to like think something's wrong with you. And I remember thinking like, wrong with me? What? I'm a survivor. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm a survivor. Destiny's Child. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm not embarrassed. And I remember thinking from that moment forward, because now I'm Joyce 2.0. I'm an even better and stronger and cooler after all the things I've been through. I'm resilient. And I go on a date with this guy who likes to play piano. And as we get to know each other, I said, I'm going to be transparent, because I'm not going to go into marrying anybody without sharing who I am. It's a big part of what happened to me. It doesn't define who I am, but it's a part of my story. And I told him, and he loved me even more. And he put a ring on it a year later. And so we got married. And I was always told from doctors that, you've had depression once, it can happen again. But to be honest, like, I didn't believe it. I really didn't. Like, as the years went by, I just felt like, hey, I made it another year without it. And so, but I was also told that if you want to when you're starting a family, which my husband knew from the moment I met him on date one, like you say, like, you don't say everything on date one. I was saying it all. I want to have a family. I want to be a mother. So he knew how much it meant to me to be a mother. And so, um, on, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought, but I want to say that when it came time to start a family, I said, okay, I need to have support systems, because I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not going to happen. I'm not going to get depressed. So you don't worry, my piano playing husband, you don't worry. And so I had my first child, healthy, happy. I experienced normal. I don't know. I don't know. You could tell me if this is normal, Sierra, but I experienced, I think, first motherhood anxiety, or just I did have a sense of anxiety of like, I'm gonna look jolting out of bed and looking at the monitor every minute to make sure he's breathing. And okay, I don't see if he's breathing the monitor. I'm gonna go run to the crib. Is he breathing? Okay, he's breathing. Can't tell. Let me put the pulse. Okay, he's breathing. I had things like that. Um, Sorry, would you say?
Definitely normal.
Okay. And just even like, breastfeeding, I couldn't make it work, and like the guilt, and like, okay, I'll switch the formula, and like all those things I had along the way. But I never fell into a postpartum depression. Had baby number two, beautiful, healthy baby. And then a few years later, I don't know if anybody out there in the audience remembers, or you, Sierra, about this little time in our life, a blimp in our life called COVID in
I
2020.
have no idea what you're
I
talking about.
know this is like confusing, right? What could I be talking about?
Which,
Well,
mind you, has really contributed to the numbers that I mentioned earlier. It's become really an issue in America. It's a really big crisis we're dealing with.
yeah,
Post-COVID, there aren't enough resources. There was a time where people could not even find a therapist. The wait lists were too long.
yeah.
So,
It's so true. And if you didn't have anxiety before COVID, people around the world, I'm going to speak on behalf of them, started to realize like, okay, the unknown is really frightening right now.
or
And if you did have anxiety during COVID and had that like diagnosis, it was beyond controllable. It was just, you couldn't control it. I also was like, wait, okay, God, hold on. Okay, got it. I can't control life. Okay, right? Okay, I got that message with anxiety. Like, I like to control, but I can't control. Fine, no problem. But you're controlling, God. And you also now blessed me during COVID to be, I can't remember the exact month, but I wasn't announced. I was between 8 to 10 weeks pregnant. So God, let's have a little powwow sesh here. Um, you made me pregnant. I think you forgot, but you're also closing the world down. And so, like, what's your plans? What's your plans for me? I can't, like, how am I going to have this baby? I have to keep this baby alive, but I don't know if we're all going to be alive tomorrow.
Right.
And I remember just feeling like trapped. Everybody, you felt trapped. If you were a parent and you had Zoom school with your children,
Not even the word. It was, we're all traumatized from it in some.
traumatized. If you had to work from all the parents working out there that like the husbands and wives that had to be on their Zoom for work, but also feed their kids, and also Passover was around that time, and now we have to have seders. I'm telling you, I couldn't. Anyways, that September, God blessed me with a happy baby, healthy baby. My birthing experience it was healthy, normal, but like different. Like I'm pushing with a mask on, and I'm giving birth 1 hour before Yom Kippur, and my husband like is gonna be fasting, and they don't know if they even want to let him in the room, and I'm like, this is not like the ideal birthing experience for me. And really, I'm so blessed because I remember feeling like, okay, I gave birth to this baby 1 hour before Yom Kippur started. God, thank you. We're going to close this chapter. My life's going to be fine. You're giving me this new chapter. Let's go in. I'm going to have health and happiness, baby. Yes. Okay. Again, I was a little bit in denial. But I'll say this. When the restrictions started getting less and less, um, and the zip codes, we could go back into the right zip codes, and my kids could sometimes go back to school, but sometimes also had Zoom school. I just didn't want to be trapped in my house anymore. I also had gestational diabetes at the time, and just constantly like in fear because I was at risk. I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, at risk in general. Like, I don't even know why I'm bringing that up now. That's really like a thought from before, but just everything I went through was like too much. And so when when the restrictions started to get looser, I kind of said, I'm checking out. I'm gonna find every project I can do, and I'm gonna start a PTA at my children's preschool. I am going to take on this project and this project and this project because I finally felt like I could breathe and not be trapped in my house and Zoom school and cooking for Passover. And I like, in a sense, just didn't want to be stuck in my house. I saw my house as COVID. And so my husband was a little concerned because I'm now at this point 7 months postpartum, and he's seeing some behaviors from me that he doesn't recognize, and probably, and again, I want to highlight, my biggest gift is to be a mother. And so when I sat him down one day and I told him, okay, so here's the deal, and because he wanted me to stop some of these projects because he didn't like what's going on, Joyce. I said, no, the projects make me very happy. I got scared. Don't take them away from me. This is like my lifeline right now. He's like, yeah, but you have children. And I said, no, but this is my lifeline right now. And so I need these. It makes me happy. And I'm somebody that always, my dreams to work and to be a working mom. So to hear that, it's like, it reminded me of my mom, like, something's up, Joyce. And I'm like, nothing's wrong with me, my husband. And I just said to him, I want to be married to you. I just don't want to be a mom right now. So if you don't mind to just take on like the mother roles, like, I'm sure like my family can help you. I'm just gonna do me right now. And that was very scary. I'm sure for him, and I know it was. And just want to talk a little bit about how when one goes through a hard time, that others and families and friends, they're all affected from watching their loved one suffering, and they couldn't even reach me. And there now comes swooping back in my mom, lady of the hour, lady of the day, of the year, of my life. And she said to my husband, again, there's Joyce and there's depression, and they're not the same thing. And I just want you to know she's going to come back to you. We have to get her the help and support. And so She started to talk to me. I didn't believe her. Nothing's wrong, guys. Just let me be happy in my like new career of like I don't know what, but something. And now it's um 9 months postpartum, and I am signing forms for my kids' school. It's still the summertime, but I'm signing forms for this school, and I couldn't focus to even get through the forms, and so I'm talking to my sister frantically, my older sister, and she comes to help me with the forms, and I drop my computer. So remember my broccoli story and my reaction there? When I dropped this computer, I started bawling. I can't even fill out these forms. I'm a failure in life. I can't even do this for my kids' school. You see how I'm the worst mother ever? You see how I could succeed in nothing? And there, I don't know, there's something very suspicious, but I don't know if it was the timing, but I'll say it was the timing and my sister's way that she has about her. She's very calming to me. And so I think I was able that day to receive her information and her advice. And she said, I think now's the right time to call psychiatrists. Like you're going through a lot and like you're taking on a lot. And I don't know what made it different that day, but when she said it to me, I received it and I said, okay, I'll call my psychiatrist. My psychiatrist again, because it's like still COVID technically. I couldn't get an appointment for 2 months, but I wanted to stay with him because I trusted him. In the interim, I said, I'm going to get a therapist now because even I recognize like, okay, I guess it's not cool to cry when you drop your computer. Like, hey, it didn't break, so I don't have to cry about it. Thank you, Mac. Mac, you're doing great. And so I called a therapist, and that was really one of my main lifelines. I then we talked about everything, and I said, I'm coming here because I don't want my marriage to be destroyed, and I don't want like my kids to hate me, and everybody's telling me there's something wrong with me, but I don't think there's something wrong with me. And like we just explored it. And I said, maybe I'm anxious. I think I have anxiety. I don't think I have like depression. But okay. I go end up seeing my psychiatrist. I don't even tell my psychiatrist, who hasn't like seen me in a couple of years, because I did wean off medication after my first episode, and I don't tell him I have a baby, and so he's like, "Well, what are you feeling?" And I said, "Well, I'm a little anxious. I'm a little, this and that." And he said, "Okay, so let's put you back on that antidepressant." I said, oh, "Okay, I don't really think I'm depressed, doc." Okay, fine, but okay, I guess you're the professional. Um, and so now fast forward, and it's November, and I've been on medication for now maybe like four weeks, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. I'm off with my timelines. I can't remember, but it's now Thanksgiving. So let's imagery again. Picture Thanksgiving, turkey. The leaves are beautiful red and orange, and cranberry. I love cranberry. And we are going to my in-laws' house to celebrate Thanksgiving. And as we're driving there, I am starting to get an overwhelming, like basically a panic attack. And I don't know why. I'm breathing heavily. I feel like I'm choking. I'm also an asthmatic. So I said, is this asthma? Like what's happened? I can't breathe. And my husband's freaking out. Like, what's the matter? And the kids are in the back. And I'm like, huh, huh, huh. And I realized what it was. And I called my psychiatrist and I said, I'm in a depression. And he said, I know, Joyce. And I said, no, I'm in a depression and I don't know what to do. And I don't know what to do. And he said, okay, we're going to raise your dose now. I said, okay. But as we're still getting closer, I'm not a liar in terms of I'm not a faker. I can't fake my emotions. And I knew going into my in-laws' house, I didn't trust myself. And I said, the only way I can go into that house and have this holiday is if I'm transparent about what is happening to me. Before I did tell them, I said to myself, you are going to be, I'm again a musical theater person. Joyce, you're going to direct your life right now. You're going to put on a musical and you're going to be the director and the producer of this musical. And you're going to take out a piece of paper and you're going to write your life and the cast of who is going to help you in your musical. What are your support systems? Who's going to play the mother? Well, my mom will, but what is she going to do for you? She's going to provide me with support, and I'll call her all the time. She's going to help me with medication and giving it to me every day. I wrote down husband, amazing husband casted in Joyce's life. You're gonna help with the kids. You have to raise them at this point. And I always called on like family to help my husband. Father-in-law, your job as my father-in-law in Joyce's musical theater production. You're gonna call my husband and you have to check on him. Along with my mom, along with both sides, I needed to know my husband was gonna be okay. I was the most concerned about him. I really was. My sisters, one sister was okay. Sister number one, you're going to be helping to take me to doctor appointments. Sister number two, you're going to be helping to take me, you're going to help me package and buy my mishloach by note. And when my kids have birthday parties, you're going to run the birthday party. Sister number three, you're going to come to my house and you're going to walk around the block with me. Because if I have to sit and have thoughts consume me, I'm going to hide under my covers, and I know I should really get exercise and get out of bed. My friends, I told them right away. I said, friends in my musical theater production. I didn't word it like that, but friends, casted friends, you are going to help me grocery shop. Give me a call. Make sure I come out for dinner. Some days I'm going to tell you no and give me that pass. And some days call me and like talk through with me. I again starred, produced, directed my musical called Joyce's Survival. I created a WhatsApp group with my loved ones, and it said Joyce's support group with the pound emoji and the muscle emoji. I needed to be a cheerleader of me because I knew in depression I was going to be in a matching ring with depression. And if I'm on one side of this matching ring and depression's on another, I will be coming. Sorry to show violence, no violence here, imagery, but I'm coming for you, depression. And I'm going to punch you away every time you try to overpower me. There were days where the depression did overpower me, but there were days I fought back for my life, and I did it with that perseverance and persistence and the love I had for myself and my children. I didn't have an option, but what option I had was to ask for help. And that's all I could do. And I'm somebody that my mom's an education advocate. And so she's modeled to me the importance of advocating and using resources and asking for help. And the best way I could ever teach my children, well, I am a singer and I'm known for my voice. If I didn't have my voice tomorrow, I'd be okay because I have my voice to advocate when it's okay to need help. And if I could teach my amazing children that I love anything, it would be it's okay to use your voice to ask for help. And I want to know my children know that they come from a family and a home where nothing is too scary or dark to tell me because I've been there. And I even say to my community or the viewers watching, for those that are having the most hardest horrific days, I get it. I see you. I hear you. I've been where you've been. And I just want to say, I feel you. And like, you're doing the best you could do. And that's all you could do. And so I know we have to rush almost and head off. But I do want to say that when I did get out of the depression, my experience, my movie happiness that I wanted to feel wasn't there. I was able to cognitively function again, but I was very bitter about what happened to me because I never thought this would happen to me again. I was so bitter and angry about it. And I didn't know what to do with all these broken, shattered pieces of this happened to me again. This was a trauma, and how do I put that back together? And that's what therapy helped me to do. Therapy helped me to put back the pieces of my life and to talk through the traumas I've went through, cry about it, find the tools to help me move on from it, and find closure with it. And what I learned about in therapy is that I really want a job. I really do. And so I also want to share that one of the things my mom said to me when I was feeling very bitter about the second episode and recovering and like not feeling happy about I went through this again. She said to me, "Oh, that's because you haven't seen the beauty in the diagnosis." And I said, "Uh, okay, beauty? There's no beauty in feeling anxiety. There's no beauty in feeling depressed. I thought I was going to be under the ground at one point. And then one point I felt like I was choking. And what's beautiful about that?" And she said, "Oh, you're going to wait, Joyce. You can find it." And so I ended up trying to like figure out what kind of job do I want. And so someone asked me, what kind of jobs do you want? I said, well, it doesn't exist because I don't want to go back to school a third time. I got my degree in education, but I didn't want to go back to school a third time. And my real job that doesn't exist. I wish I could share my experience with people, my mental health journey, and let them know like it's possible to recover. And like that, hey, it's really hard when you have like in the thick of a diagnosis and you're going through an episode. It's really hard, but like it is possible. And I wish I could be somebody's like cheerleader and support system because like I learned a lot about myself and how incredible I am. And like I'm so strong. And then she cut me off and she's like, I think you should go look at the SBH website because I think there might be like something like that. So I was like, what? I run to the SBH website and I'm looking, okay, social worker, no, I'm not qualified. Psychiatrist, no, I'm going to school that long, no. And I see that there's a job called a peer support specialist. And so I don't really know what that means.
What do you do at SBH? Tell us.
Did you say?
I said, is it hard to hear me? I said, tell us about your job at SBH.
Okay. So first of all, apologies for annoying SBH. For 9 months, I stalked their lives because when I learned about what a peer support specialist was, I said, that's my job and I'm going to get that job. And I really was persistent about it. And I am now a certified peer support specialist working at SBH's counseling center. And so what is a peer support specialist? A peer support specialist is an individual, I have my notes here, it's an individual who's recovered from a mental health condition, substance or addiction use, or any type of trauma, and we use our lived experience and our recovery journey to share and connect with our clients because we know what it feels like. And it's now an evidence-based finding, and I just want to pull up more nice things. This is from SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, that shows why peer support is evidence-based in helping people in their recovery journey. So a peer support specialist, not only do we help and talk with our clients, I have to be transparent with my clients about what I've been through. They have the right to ask me anything I've been through in terms of my mental health, and it's my honor to share my story with them and connect with them. And I feel like I'm in the exact place I need to be. And it's with those in their hardest times. So another part of it is advocacy and learning the laws in place in New York State for individuals that do have any kind of mental health addiction or trauma. And it really helps to bridge the gap. I always say I'm not a doctor and I'm not a therapist. I always start off my session that way. We have incredible therapists and incredible psychiatrists at SBH that I'm inspired by on a daily. But peer support is just an additional resource, a very special additional resource as part of Sephardi Bikor Cholim's counseling center. And so just want to go back a little bit to share some of the reasons why peer support is shown and proven to help people in recovery. It helps those with their confidence. It gives those a sense of control that they can have ownership in their life. So sometimes people might hear, hey, Joyce created her own type of wellness plan, right? Like I directed my life and like I share that with clients, and it gives them hope to say, I might have a choice in my life, and how do I want to be the star in my recovery journey. It also helps to give inspiration to the clients, increases empathy, it decreases psychotic symptoms, increases engagement in self-care and wellness. I love when I get to go meet like a client at either the counseling center or we go for a cup of coffee, and like it's just holistic. I'm a holistic resource and tool. It helps to reduce hospital admission rates, and it increases social support. And it's something that, now I found my silver lining moment with what my mom said about there's a gift and a beauty in everything, even the harder times in our life, because had I not gone through, I never want to have depression again, and I never want to have postpartum depression again. And having it, like I said, I know it's always a risk that I could get it again. I thank God I feel like I have the right supports in place. And now being within SBH walls, I'm gonna call an SBH too. God forbid it ever happens to me again. But the silver lining is, had I not gone through any of the hardest times of my life, I would never qualify to be able to be certified for this job. And it's an honor. And I have to say again, I just love everybody that I work with. I feel like at SBH, I work with like superheroes whose superpowers are just caring about the well-being of people. That's what they do. That's who they are. And every time I leave a client, and I don't know if I have client watching, but I want to share that my job is supposed to help inspire my clients. But every time I leave a room or I close a computer when meeting a client on telehealth, I walk away feeling, oh my gosh, do they only know how much they inspired me? The fact that they are showing up in their hardest times to sit with me and to share with me and to share, hey, I had a hard time maybe brushing my teeth that day, or I'm so nervous and I'm feeling anxious, and like, but you're showing up. You're showing up. And like I walk away like, God, thank you for like, thank you. I get to be around these people all day long that inspire me. And you start to find the beauties in your, I hear my mom, you start to find the strengths and the beauties in the harder times. You learn a lot about yourself. And if I could just share one more story, if you don't mind, about a beauty that I found about myself. Um, as many know, I'm an opera singer, and I love it because it's predictable. If a composer tells you sing this note, you sing that note and you don't sing it longer than that, what the composer tells you. I love it. I love that, like, like when I perform like with a orchestra, I have to come really planned and prepared, so there's no surprises. My spouse, on the other hand, he plays jazz and piano, and he loves to improvise. And so I just want to share quickly. I'm so thankful that during my depressive episodes or postpartum, um, my husband caught me in a good moment that day when I wasn't feeling my greatest, because he started playing by the piano, and I'm not one to improvise, and we improvised that day and created a whole song. And the song, because I couldn't control anything, I had words pouring out of my mouth, right? And this rigid girl created a whole song and musical. And I even have a category on my Instagram called musicals now. He's taught me how to improvise in my life from that moment. And just, I have a song that's called Why Do We Stress, the pandemic version. And I'm just going to say a few lines before like we log off. But why do we stress? Why do we stress being parents? Why do we stress being spouses or people? Because I'm this way and I'm that way and I'm this way and I'm always in my life and I'm juggling these balls, and it feels like all day long I'm failing. And in the video, my kids are pushing down the camera, and in the video, I actually broke my foot during that time, so I'm limping, and like everything that could go wrong. But actually, like, we watch it now, we laugh all day long about it.
I've
But
seen it.
anyways, I'm this way and I'm that way, and all I could do, all you could do, all we could do is just hang in there. That's all you could do. 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 And that to me has, while I recorded that video, which was very sad to me in the moment, I look at it now and I say, oh my gosh, if I was well, I would have never freestyled this song. And again, I laugh at it. It is my biggest honor to play it. We play it 4 years later. I think I'm like, my kids are sick of it because they're always singing, "Why do we stress?" And like, but it's my mantra now. Just all I could do is my best and hang in there. And sometimes I'm gonna go left and right. And I always say to my clients, nobody's gonna fix you, but like, thank you for allowing me to be peer support. I'm not going to take your hand and grab you out of what you're going through, but thank you for allowing me to hold your hand in the moment and just hang in there with you. That is the biggest gift and honor that they are allowing me. And I'm so grateful, and thank you for letting me share my story.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for everything you bring to the team at SBH. I'm so lucky to work with you
You too.
and be able to work with you sharing clients, and you really bring so much to the treatment plan. You
Thank
give
you.
so much empathy.
Thank you.
You have such a beautiful angle, and seeing my clients through your eyes helps me as a therapist. I have one question for you. I'm sure everyone's wondering how they can get a piece of Joyce.
So,
Uh, a client at the counseling center to
yeah.
work with.
Yeah. So if you have a therapist at the or a psychiatrist at Sephardi Courtlands Counseling Center, you get potential access to me if I'm not booked up
You're
already. I
very,
would you say?
I said you're very booked. You're usually
I
booked.
am very booked, but who knows? Maybe people out there will want to become peer sports specialists. It's a very rewarding field, um, and again, it helps just bridge the gap, peer support from like the medical world, and the therapeutic world, and it helps to bring this like humanistic perspective to it. And it's like I thank SBH for being so progressive and like always one step ahead from what I'm noticing about them, and how open they are to even like valuing a peer is somebody's lifeline. And like thank you SBH Counseling Center for hiring me. It means so much. It really means so much to me. But
Second that. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Love our jobs. But
And thank you for sharing your story. I know it's definitely not easy to come on and share such personal details of your
thank you.
life. I know that you're doing it for the benefit of others. So as you said earlier, if you can change even one person's life through this live.
Yeah, thank you. It's again, I'm going to repeat this. If I don't have a singing voice tomorrow, this is the best way I'm ever going to use my voice. And I I'm just so proud to have a voice because I didn't feel that way when I had depression and anxiety. So now that I have this voice, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it for the good, and I'm going to shine.
And you're shining. Keep shining, Joyce.
Thank you.
I want to share some resources with everyone. If anyone is struggling with mental health challenges, or if anyone in your family or loved ones, friends are having any challenges with mental health, we have an amazing counseling center with wonderful therapists. And we also have an MHR division with support groups. We also offer referrals for private therapy. The list goes on, fertility division. So if you need any help at all, SBH is really here for you.
We're here.
Okay. So thanks again, Joyce.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.